Hello and thanks for joining School of the American Rifle. Today's video is going to be an abbreviated autopsy. We're doing a summary autopsy on a KAK K-Spec bolt carrier group. This is one of the down vent sand cut models with the dual ejectors. Lots of problems with this. The owner sent it to me for an inspection. He was having problems that he thought were under gassing problems. The gun wasn't getting enough gas to cycle. He put other bolt carriers in the host uppers and they cycled fine. This one would not. So he basically concluded that this was the problem, but wanted a second set of eyes on it. So he sent it in to me. And here are the things that we found. So first, I have a fixture that I use that goes in the carrier, plugs it up, and introduces gas here. And it has a gauge here and a gauge here, and it's basically an air gauge that's checking for leaks. There is a massive leak that is happening with this carrier key. I haven't removed it because the carrier key is staked properly and the screws are torqued down properly. But there is a massive leak, so I'm not sure if there is a very uneven surface, if this isn't sitting in its channel all the way, or if there is just a lack of sealant, which most companies don't use anymore. But there is a lot of gas leaking, a whole lot of gas. So even though this dimension passes, the gas ring run is also middle of the road as far as efficiency gauge is out, and the bolt tail is rather awful. It is leaking a bunch of gas at the back end of the bolt tail. So even though the bolt tail is in spec, the bolt tail opening in the carrier is oversized and it's leaking a bunch. So not only is it leaking when it's introduced from the carrier down into the key, but it's blowing forward from the gas rings, from the run being oversized, and it's blowing to the rear because the bolt tail run is oversized. So lots of gassing issues with this particular bolt carrier. Now that gets amplified when you talk about a bolt with a dual ejector, because dual ejector bolts, because they require more energy to rotate out of battery when the bolt carrier is trying to unlock. There's two ejectors instead of one, so that's putting more force against the cartridge in the chamber, and it takes more force for that bolt to rotate and do its job. So a gun with a dual ejector bolt will often require more gas to cycle that bolt compared to one with a single ejector. Or you need to step down your buffer or buffer spring weight. So that can be another problem amplifying his gassing issue, is these two ejectors. Now on top of that, which does sort of help in this case here, and let's see if I can get a good look at this, the ejectors on this particular example are sitting really far inwards. And that can cause weird ejection patterns. Now KAK may say that that's within their spec, but other dual ejector bolts do not sit like that. Neither do single ejector bolts. So this is a Centurion bolt. And if we look, the ejectors are more flush to the face of the bolt. And that can cause some weird ejection problems. Some people claim that Centurions and KAKs are made by the same OEM or manufacturer. They have different cuts on them. They are not the same. So even if you dismiss where they vent, they are not the same. Different types of sand cuts. So just wanted to toss that out there. People like to say that they're not the same. So the dual ejectors can cause some weird or erratic ejection issues. That wasn't what the owner's problem was. He couldn't get the gun to cycle to even look at ejection anyway. So, but the next thing that is a problem is how the bolt carrier was machined on the inside. Now this is going to be hard for us to see, but I'm going to try to shine a light in here. And then I'm going to take a standard phosphate carrier and lay it next to it to show you what I'm talking about. So let's get a light inside here and then see if we can zoom in. Now right here, there's supposed to be, right there where I'm pointing, that's supposed to be a sort of funnel. It's supposed to bevel inwards. And that right there is a sharp 90-degree shelf when it transitions from the bolt shoulder support to the gas ring run. It's very difficult to see, but I promise you it's a sharp edge. Let me try to go in from the front and see if I can grab it. Sharp edge right there. Can't even jump past it with my punch. If we go to a typical mil-spec bolt carrier group, let me shine the light in here, you can see that there's a bevel. It has a bevel. So it transitions from this to this and it has a bevel. It jumps right past there. So this won't cause a problem if you're very careful about putting your bolt into your carrier, But if you're not, and you just slap the bolt into the carrier, this KAK is going to wreck those gas rings. It's going to roll them over because that bevel in this one is designed to slowly compress the gas rings. It would be like trying to take a piston for an engine and just slapping it into the engine block without using a ring compressor. You don't want to do that. That's what will happen here if you're really rough with it. So no transition. KAK may say that that's how they designed this, but that's not the proper way a bolt carrier should be designed. It should have this transition here. So this is wrong too. It's not the reason it's having cycling issues, but it's wrong. Going further down, I apologize. We have our typical, what I call cheap springs. It's usually indicative that if you have the O-ring and the insert that they're using a cheap spring. I can squish this extractor spring with very little effort. Not very good, so they could have put some better springs in here. So this isn't the reason it's got problems, but I like to complain, if you will, when companies who charge a good bit of money for a premium price product don't put better springs in their bolt carrier groups. So those are the things that I wanted to show on this. Mainly it was the gassing issues. Those other things were just icing on the cake, if you will, of this terrible situation for the owner. He has decided to abandon this bolt carrier group because he's already went back and forth with KAK once with this, and they said that there's nothing wrong with it. So he is going to abandon the bolt carrier group, and it's going to live here at School of the American Rifle as an example of some not so great dimensions and gas efficiency. As always, this is an example of one, so don't take this as being all KAK products have these things that I'm explaining. But as always, I hope you found this video educational, and thanks for watching.